Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into one of those tantalizing little mysteries that might be playing out right under your nose, without you even realizing. Picture this. You're sitting across from her at that low-lit bar, soft jazz tickling the edges of conversation. She leans in slightly. Her gaze lingers. Not just, oh, hey, I'm listening long, but a second longer than that. And somehow the space between you gets heavier, the air just thick enough to notice. You shift in your seat. Maybe your drink suddenly tastes different, and before you know it, your brain's asking, is she thinking what I think she's thinking? You probably won't survive this, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the moment the game changes. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're at her place after a small dinner party, 5 people total, and yet she's been orbiting around you all night like you're the sun and she's the most curious little planet. Everyone else, background noise. She keeps glancing across the room at you, not once or twice, more like every time you're not speaking. And when you catch her, she doesn't look away. She holds it. Section 1. That's the first signal. The lingering gaze. It's not a stare. It's not aggressive. It's just sustained. And somewhere deep in the folds of human history, we've always known what that means. From ancient Greek courtship dances to Regency-era ballroom glances, eye contact has been the universal pre-verbal cue of I see you, and I want you to see that I see you. Historians still argue whether Cleopatra's famously seductive presence had more to do with her intelligence or her unbroken eye contact across a crowded room. Either way, Caesar and Mark Antony weren't immune, and neither are you. There's this little biological twist too. Pupil dilation, it's automatic. When you look at someone you're attracted to, your pupils get slightly bigger. It's not a choice, it's a reaction. It's why romantic dinners are often in dim lighting, because bigger pupils are sexier, and soft lights exaggerate that. Nature's own visual aphrodisiac. So next time you're talking to her and you see her eyes soften, pupils widen, and she doesn't blink like she normally would, pause. Let that silence stretch a little. She's testing how you react when the tension builds. Now, not every long look is a green light. Some women are just great at making people feel seen. But when that gaze is paired with something else, like her slightly tilted head, or the way she mirrors your movements without even realizing it, it starts to look a lot more like flirtation's silent language. And this isn't new. In medieval times, when women weren't allowed to speak freely in court, they used their eyes as tools of seduction, a quick glance, a downward flick, then back up again. It was basically Morse code for I'm thinking about you. And maybe more than that. There's a fringe theory, probably floated by a historian with too much mead and not enough supervision, that early cave women used prolonged eye contact during food-sharing rituals to signal potential mating interest. You can almost hear the guy pitching it. She gave him the bigger piece of mammoth steak and held eye contact for 7 seconds. That's basically a proposal. So today, when she fixes her gaze on you, it's not random. It's a signal drawn from generations of primal programming. And pay attention to what happens when she thinks you're not looking. Maybe you're both at a group dinner and someone else is speaking. You're pretending to scroll through your phone, but your peripheral vision catches her watching you. Not just glancing, watching, studying maybe, like she's mapping your face for a dream she won't tell anyone about. There's a moment in every man's life when he learns that eyes don't lie. Words, sure. Texts, all the time. Even body language can be misleading if she's trying to be polite. But eyes? Eyes tell the truth, especially when they're unguarded, especially when she doesn't expect to be seen. Now here's the part where your inner skeptic pipes up. But maybe she's just interested in the conversation. Maybe she's just polite. Sure, maybe. But if that were true, why did her voice drop slightly when she asked you that last question? Why did her gaze wander to your lips just before she looked away? Oh, and remember this little test. Call it the slow blink challenge. Next time you're talking, maintain eye contact just a second longer than normal. Then blink slowly. If she mirrors it, even subconsciously, it's like your hearts are having a little secret handshake. That's connection. And maybe, just maybe, a spark. You don't chase it. You don't jump to conclusions. But you do lean into it. You take note. Because the younger woman who keeps finding your eyes in a crowd is doing more than seeing you. She's thinking about you. Often. And not always in rated G ways. So the next time her gaze locks onto yours and her pupils darken just slightly, don't be the guy who writes it off as a coincidence. Be the guy who listens with his eyes. Be the guy who sees back. Because once that first thread of tension is there, it rarely goes away. It just waits for the next moment to tighten. And trust me, if her eyes are whispering what her words won't say, you're already deep in the game. Section 2. You're back in that coffee shop again. The one with the ridiculously slow Wi-Fi, but the kind of lighting that makes everyone look 10% more interesting. She's already there, sitting cross-legged on the chair like she owns the place, sipping something with too much oat milk and too little caffeine. You sit down, and before you've even finished your hello, she does it again. She nudges your arm, laughs at your shirt, tilts her head and grins like you've just said the most ridiculous thing she's heard all day. But you didn't. Not really. This is playful teasing and subtle touch, and it's way more loaded than it looks on the surface. See, when a younger woman starts play fighting you with her words, mocking your Spotify choices, calling you old man in that sing-song voice, it's not because she's trying to roast you. It's because she's flirting the way generations of women have flirted, through mischief. Remember high school? Not your high school. Think ancient Mesopotamia. Historians still argue whether women in early civilizations developed teasing banter as a social tool to test potential mates. There's even record of Sumerian love poems that sound suspiciously like the first form of roasting. My lord, your beard is like sheep's wool, and yet you strut like you rule Uruk. Brutal and hot. That teasing, it's safe provocation. She's tossing you the verbal equivalent of a pillow and daring you to swing back. Why? Because every teasing exchange is an audition for chemistry. If you can handle a bit of sass without flinching, without going defensive, you just proved you're playful, confident, unshakable. And that is ridiculously attractive. But teasing doesn't live alone. It brings its best friend, touch. Let's slow it down. You're walking side by side and she bumps her shoulder into yours. Not hard, not enough to knock you off balance. Just enough to say, I'm here and I'm comfortable getting closer. Or she reaches across you to grab something, her hand brushing yours for just a second longer than needed. Those are the moments your brain logs without realizing. And here's where it gets fun. There's this fringe tidbit floating around the psychology world, barely peer-reviewed but undeniably charming, that suggests human touch under 3 seconds is categorized as incidental, while anything over that gets flagged as intentional. So that gentle touch on your forearm when she laughs, clock it. Because if it lingers even a breath too long, your nervous system knows something's up. And the best part? She probably knows it too. She's playing in that space between friendly and flirty, seeing how much you notice without you having to say a thing. In Victorian England, men and women couldn't even touch hands in public without sparking gossip. So what did women do? They dropped gloves, literally. Oh dear, I've dropped my glove. Cue the gallant man picking it up, their fingers brushing. Scandalous. Delicious. The entire courtship was coded in dropped objects and stolen glances. Today, she accidentally knocks her phone toward your side of the booth, needs help reaching her charger. Her ankle touches yours and doesn't move. All modern gloves, just repackaged. And you might be thinking, but what if she's just like that with everyone? Great question. Here's how you test it. Watch how she touches others versus you. Does she rest her hand on everyone's knee when she laughs? Does she lean in equally close with other guys? If not, and if you're the only one getting these moments, you're not imagining things. You're in her crosshairs. Now, humor plays a huge role here too. When she teases, it's not just for fun, It's a low-stakes way to create shared laughter, which studies show releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Laughter plus touch? That's biology doing its mating dance in real time. Here's something weird and wonderful. In the early 1900s, French cafes had this unspoken rule where lovers would communicate purely through games. Think checkers meets chess, but every check was a flirty suggestion. Some cafes even had boards with coded meanings like, if I place this piece here, it means I want to kiss you. The human need to tease and play, it's ancient. We're just dressing it in jeans and lattes now. So when she teases you for being so serious all the time, or playfully challenges you to a game of pool, darts, or who can spot the worst coffee pun on the menu, lean in. That's her way of inching closer without saying too much. That's her seeing if you'll rise to her energy. And when her fingers graze yours over the shuffleboard table, and she doesn't pull away immediately, that's not physics, that's intention. The truth is, most younger women who are thinking about you in that way won't come right out and say it. Why would they? This dance, this delicate flicker of teasing and touch, it's the part they enjoy. It's the spark before the fire. So the next time she jokingly calls you old man and nudges your shoulder, don't brush it off. Nudge back, raise an eyebrow, laugh with your whole face, and give her the safe, teasing playground she's inviting you into. Because in that moment, your banter is no longer just banter. It's her way of saying, I'm thinking about you, and I want to see if you're thinking about me too. Section 3. You're standing by the kitchen counter, nursing a drink that's more ice than anything else. She leans against the fridge, eyes flicking to the side, like she's about to ask something dangerous. And then it drops. So, are you seeing anyone right now? It sounds casual, just a floating question, tossed into the air like she doesn't really care about the answer. But her voice is lower now, slower, and she's watching you too carefully for it to be idle curiosity. Welcome to flirty curiosity about your private life, where everything she asks is half a confession and half a dare. You see, a younger woman who's thinking about you sexually isn't going to barge in with neon signs. She's going to peek over the fence into your life, looking for little windows where desire might slip through. And nothing gives her more of a rush than discovering that yes, you're available, and maybe even a little lonely. Now, we've all heard the excuse, she's just making conversation. Sure, maybe, but there's a massive difference between how's work and what kind of woman do you usually go for. That's not idle chatter, that's recon. That's her laying the groundwork. Historians still argue whether the salons of 18th century France were political breeding grounds or covert matchmaking venues. The truth? Both. While revolutionaries were discussing Rousseau and Voltaire, young women were strategically seated beside older, intriguing men, asking questions like, what does a man of your stature look for in a companion? It wasn't philosophy, it was foreplay disguised as intellectualism. You hear it today when she pokes at your dating history with faux innocence. Wait, you've never been married? How? Or, let me guess, you go for women who keep you on your toes. That's not casual, that's calibrated. She's measuring your emotional availability and checking to see if you'll flirt back or retreat into father figure mode. And if you do flirt back, if you match her energy, she dials it up. Oh, so you do have a type. Let me guess. Troublemakers? You laugh, not because it's funny, but because it's real. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're already wondering if she's asking all this for research or for permission. Now here's the fun historical twist. One of the oldest examples of romantic curiosity shows up in the tale of Genji, a Japanese novel from the 11th century. The women in the court didn't just wait around for Genji to make a move. They sent poetry, asked veiled questions, and maneuvered with elegance. Genji's lovers were experts in psychological chess, and the same strategy lives on today. Ask a loaded question, mask it in charm, wait for the crack in your armor. One fringe theory even suggests that when a woman asks a man about his dating life, her brain is simulating that reality, imagining herself in that space. It's not just curiosity, It's projection. And she doesn't stop with just, "Are you single?" She keeps pushing. "So what would your perfect weekend look like? What's something you've never told anyone? Do you think age matters when it comes to connection?" Each question feels like it's about life in general. But you know better. These are not small talk. These are feelers, breadcrumbs. She's mapping out the terrain between you. Now there's a way to test her intent. When she asks something flirty, answer honestly, but add your own light tease. For example, her, "So, what kind of woman are you into?" You, the kind who asks bold questions without blushing. You know anyone like that? Watch what happens. If she laughs and keeps going, you've hit the sweet spot. She's not just curious anymore. She's invested. It's all about that shared language. The glances, the hesitations, the questions that carry weight beneath the surface. One moment you're talking about favorite movies, and the next she's asking what keeps you up at night. Not just what do you worry about, but what stirs you. And the more you give her, the more comfortable she gets pressing further. Because let's be honest, no woman digs deep into your preferences and romantic worldview unless she's considering herself in the running, especially not a younger woman with options. If she's choosing to peel back your layers, it's not because she's bored. It's because she's wondering what it would feel like to be desired by you. What would it feel like if the guy who seems so composed, so unshaken, so out of her league in that older, solid, sexy way, actually saw her, wanted her, touched her? You won't get a full confession, but you'll get hints. Like the way she says, "I bet you're hard to read." Translation? "I'm trying to read you, and I'm hoping you'll help me cheat." Or when she jokes, "You probably have girls falling for you left and right." That's not a compliment. That's a temperature check. She wants to know if she's the only one wondering what it's like to be close to you. So when she digs into your private life with a smile, remember, this is the modern version of a fan flutter in a 19th century ballroom. It's her signal. She's wondering where she fits into your life, or maybe more accurately, into your arms. And when you answer, don't just give facts. Give her a glimpse of how it would feel to be on the other side of your desire. Make it easy for her to imagine. Because if she's already thinking about you, all she's looking for is a sign that she's not alone in it. And trust me, once she knows you're in the same mental space, the teasing questions stop being hypothetical and start being an invitation. Section 4. It's late. The party's winding down. People are yawning, grabbing coats, mumbling about early mornings. But she lingers. Not in that awkward, "I forgot where I parked" way. No, she's deliberate. Her eyes keep landing on you, scanning for your next move. And then it happens. "Hey, you're not in a rush, right?" You shake your head. "Cool. I was gonna grab another drink. You want to stay a bit?" And just like that, you're in the accidental one-on-ones, where the coincidences aren't quite so accidental, and the moments start feeling custom-built for tension. This is where things shift, where group dynamics dissolve, and you two end up in some quiet corner of the universe, maybe on her balcony, maybe in the hallway, maybe just 2 bar stools too far from everyone else. It doesn't matter where. What matters is that somehow you're alone. Now younger women don't always have the vocabulary to be direct, especially when they're still figuring out how to gauge your interest. So instead, they create space. Controlled isolation. A scenario where she can watch your reactions without an audience. Historians still argue whether courtly love in medieval times was more about privacy or performance. You had knights writing poems, serenading women beneath their balconies. But the real intimacy, that happened in brief, stolen walks through castle gardens, one-on-one, away from prying eyes. The modern version? She asks for help setting up something in another room, asks you to stay after everyone else is gone because you're easy to talk to. And the moment that room quiets down, her posture changes. She turns toward you, not just with her body, but with all of her energy. She's no longer just in proximity. She's with you. You'll notice this shift in the little things. Her laugh gets softer. Her feet point directly at yours. She leans in just a bit, as if what she's about to say is meant only for you, even if it's just about the weather. There's a fringe anthropology theory that during early tribal rituals, physical closeness in nighttime gatherings was one of the strongest indicators of sexual interest. You sat close to the person you wanted, not just for warmth, but for possibility. Today, we don't gather around campfires, but the principle holds. If she chooses to be alone with you under dim light or ambient noise, it's not by mistake. You'll know it's intentional when she starts filling the space with just enough vulnerability. You know, it's weird. I didn't expect to have fun tonight. Or, I usually hate parties, but this was nice. Translation. This time it was different. Because you were here. She'll ask you about your past again, but this time it's less flirty, more curious. What drives you? What scares you? What you think about when you're alone? And that's your cue, not to perform, but to meet her where she is. Open, but controlled. Playful, but grounded. Because when a younger woman initiates a one-on-one like this, she's not looking for a boy. She's looking for a man. Here's a trick. Ask her something that signals you've noticed her subtlety. You're kinda hard to pin down, you know that? Or, you ever do this? Hang back and pull someone into a late-night rabbit hole? Watch her eyes light up. That's the confirmation she didn't know she wanted. Because now you're seeing the chessboard. You've named the game. In the 1920s, jazz clubs were notorious for fostering these kinds of slow burns. The music would drown the crowd, but couples would drift into side booths, inches apart, sharing secrets over the edge of a cocktail glass. No Instagram, no phones. Just proximity and patience. A look, a breath, a whisper. Now here's the kicker. The one-on-one moments are never about what's said. They're about what's not said. The near confessions, the comfortable silences, the moment she hands you her glass without asking, and you take it like it's always been yours. And don't underestimate the importance of time. If it's midnight and she's still talking to you, when she could have gone home, or to bed, or off with friends, and that's intention with a capital I. No woman stays in neutral company after 11 p.m., not without a reason. Some guys ruin it here by trying to seal the deal. But she's not inviting pressure. She's inviting possibility. This isn't a closing act. It's an opening scene. She's letting you into a version of her world that most don't get to see. So what do? You hold the space. You notice the way she tucks her hair behind her ear when she's nervous. You match her tone. You let the pauses breathe. And when she says, "You're easy to talk to," you don't deflect. You look at her and say, "You're easy to be with." That's the spark. That's the moment she thinks this could be something. This could be safe. This could be sexy. Because at the end of the day, being alone with you isn't just about logistics. It's her testing how it feels, how you feel. And if the room stays warm and her smile lingers and her voice gets slower, she's already pictured it, all of it. So the next time a younger woman creates that convenient bubble of privacy, remember, the setting isn't the story. You are, and she's already decided it's a story she wants to tell herself, again and again. Section 5. The next time you see her, something's different. She's not dressed up too much, just enough that it feels deliberate, like she thought about it, like she remembered what you said last week about how you love that color on her, or how you once complimented the way her hair fell when she wore it down. You're not imagining things. This is her appearance changes around you. One of the most subtle, sensual, and telling signs a younger woman is thinking about you in that electric, slow-burning way. Look, people say don't judge a book by its cover, but we all know the truth. We dress for who we want to notice. And when she starts tweaking her appearance around you, new perfume, bolder lipstick, a neckline that didn't need to be that low, or that necklace that draws your eye just so, it's not random. You remember how she used to wear sneakers every time you saw her? Now it's ankle boots. Or how she always had her hair in a bun? Suddenly, it's cascading over her shoulders. And that oversized hoodie she wore to brunch last month? Replaced with a top that hugs her frame like it's in on the secret. Historians still argue whether Cleopatra's infamous arrival to Julius Caesar, wrapped in a carpet of all things, was an act of strategic seduction or sheer desperation. But what everyone agrees on is this. She knew presentation mattered. She weaponized her beauty like a queen. And the effect? Legendary. So when this younger woman starts dressing a little differently, especially when she's not around anyone else she's trying to impress, pay attention. She's not doing it for the crowd. She's doing it for the one man she's been replaying in her mind. You. One fringe detail from a fashion psychology study notes that when someone experiences romantic thoughts, they often subconsciously pick clothing that enhances features their object of desire has already praised. So if you told her she looks good in green, guess what color her scarf is this week? And scent. Oh, scent. That's the oldest trick in the book. Back in ancient Rome, lovers would anoint their necks with blends of honey and herbs meant to attract certain types of partners. Today, it's sandalwood, vanilla, or whatever secret little potion she dabbed behind her ears before walking into the room. You'll know it's intentional when she gives you that look, half smirk, half question, like she's waiting to see if you notice. Like she's saying, I did this for you. Will you say anything? And maybe you do. Maybe you say, is that a new perfume? And she tilts her head and says, you like it? With that smile that knows exactly what she's doing. This is the part where things get deliciously complicated, because she's not just hoping you'll look, she's guiding your eyes. The neckline that dips a little lower, the jeans that fit a little tighter, the new earrings that dangle, drawing your gaze toward the line of her neck. Every choice is a breadcrumb. Don't mistake this for vanity, it's intention, presentation. In the same way, you might stand a little straighter when she walks in, or wear the shirt she once complimented. She's calibrating herself to your attention. And when she nails it, when you pause, look her over, and lose your sentence halfway through, that's the reward she's chasing. One quirky historical tidbit: in the 1600s, women would sew tiny lover's notes into their dresses, embroidered phrases only visible if you got close enough. A secret between skin and silk. Today, it might be the way she wears your favorite band's tee under her blazer, or the hidden message in the shade of her lipstick. Come closer, look again. So when she walks into the room looking like someone who put thought into your reaction, take that as what it is, an unspoken whisper. She's been thinking about you, in the mirror, in her closet, while spritzing herself with something new and wondering if it'll make your heart skip. And if she casually mentions that she changed her hair, just felt like something different, don't let that slide by. That's her opening. That's her saying, I'm waiting for you to notice me noticing you. Now, the truly telling sign is consistency. It's not just a one-off. It happens again and again, whenever you two have plans. Whether it's coffee or cocktails, she shows up dialed in, a little shinier, a little more magnetic. She's not overdressed, she's precision dressed, like she's read the room, and more importantly, read you. And maybe it's not just about the clothes or the scent. Maybe it's the way she sits next to you now, closer, her shoulder brushing yours with zero apologies. Maybe it's the new playlist she mentions, full of smoky late-night jazz and lyrics that sound suspiciously like her inner thoughts. In these moments, you don't need her to spell it out. She already is. Every outfit, every detail, every glimmer of extra effort is her way of slipping into your mental space, of saying you're on my mind and I want to be on yours. And if you're listening closely, if you let the silence linger just a little longer than usual, you'll realize she's already said everything she needs to. She just needs you to see it. And now, the room's quiet again. The night is folding in on itself, slow and smooth, like a sheet being pulled over something you want to savor just a little longer. You sit there with your thoughts, maybe still hearing her laugh, maybe still remembering the scent she wore when she hugged you goodbye and held on just 1 second too long. Everything about tonight's journey, her gaze, her teasing, her questions, the way she created little pockets of just you and her, has been whispering the same thing. Not loud, not rushed, just steady. She's thinking about you, not just casually, not just occasionally, in that private, behind closed eyes kind of way. The kind that lingers. And now you know the signs. You know how to feel the shift in the room. how to spot the moment when her attention becomes more than polite, and how to tell when it's not just your imagination, because it's not. So before you drift off tonight, let yourself hold one of those moments in your mind, just for a second. That look, that laugh, that quiet pause when everything in her body was saying, "Come closer." You don't have to chase it. You just have to recognize it. Because the truth is, she's already thinking about you. And now, you're thinking about her too. Sleep easy, my friend.